What's up guys, I'm BTC, welcome back to The Respawn where I answer your questions. Today we're talking about fixing competitive, a new hero with a phasing ability, and removing backfill. First question of the day, who is better for healing, Ana or Moira? It really depends on a lot of different factors. What kind of team comp are you running? Is it Death Ball? Is it standard 2-2-2? Is it a dive? And what sort of map are you playing on? And also, are you on attack or are you defend? All of these factors can play a part. Keep in mind, Ana is the best single target healer in the game, and Moira is the best multi-target healer in the game. So if you're running a team comp like Goats or any sort of Death Ball, where you have everybody kind of grouped up and rushing in together, then Moira is definitely going to be better in that situation because she can heal everyone at the same time. But if you have, let's say, a Winston and a D.Va, and they're trying to dive into the back line, then maybe you're going to have an Ana who just sits back and just heals them for free. But also keep in mind what the enemy is running, because if they're running something that's divey with Tracers and Genjis and that sort of deal, Moira is going to be able to escape that a lot easier than an Ana can. So both of them are extremely good healers, it's just they're better in different situations. When aiming down the sights as Ashe, does it slow down your movement speed? Yes, it does, by 20%. I covered this and everything else you need to know about Ashe in a guide video that I made. I actually have 3 videos that you really want to check out for Ashe. So first is the guide, second is the Mythbusters, and the third is the counter video. So you can go and check out all 3 of those. Do you think there should be a medal for deaths? Yes and no. Yes, because it's an extremely important stat that a lot of players tend to overlook. In fact, if you're given the option between getting an elimination and not dying, the better option most of the time is to choose to not die. But I would also say no, because the current medal system is not very good. The information you get is kind of worthless or it's bad. And in fact, I have a brand new video coming out tomorrow where I look at the entire medal system, break down all of the problems with it, and propose a new and improved system. So that video will be coming out tomorrow, so make sure you check back. How do you feel about fixing comp? What could the dev team add or remove? There's a lot of problems with the competitive ladder. I think the 2 biggest are going to be throwers and bad hero balance. So for throwers, Blizzard just needs to do more. They're not doing nearly enough right now. It's somewhere in the range of about 1 in every 3 games has a thrower in it. That is unacceptable. Blizzard needs to step up and start severely punishing those people. It doesn't matter if they're hard throwing or soft throwing, Blizzard needs to get them out of the game and out of the competitive ladder, up to and including permanent bans. I'm working on yet another video that addresses this very topic and proposes a very good solution that would help eliminate a very large amount of the throwers in Overwatch. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe because that should be coming out probably later this week. But moving on to the other issue, which is bad hero balance, the problem is there's not enough heroes in the game right now, and what ends up happening is you always have 5, 6, 7 heroes that are just better than everything else. You have mirror match after mirror match after mirror match where it's just the same heroes over and over and over again. It makes it really difficult to come up with new strategies and have more interesting and creative metas and all that sort of stuff. So the hero balance also needs to be addressed, but that's a huge thing that it's gonna take a lot before that can get resolved. How do you think a phasing like passing through solid objects ability would work in Overwatch, and if it could work, how would it be balanced? It's kind of a tough thing because outside of the map that you normally see, there's nothing there. Like, all the buildings and stuff are only rendered on one side usually, so Blizzard would have a hard time. If you were phasing through the wall, they couldn't render all that stuff that's outside. You wouldn't be able to see it. So I think what would end up happening is it would function more like a blink, where you phase into the wall and then it just kind of spits you out on the other side. Now, this could work, but I think it would be extremely difficult to balance. But more so, the way that the current maps are designed, there wouldn't really be a whole lot of use for it. because there aren't many places where you would actually need to phase through the wall in order to kind of move to where you need to. The way the maps are designed is there's kind of one big path that you go through, and it doesn't matter what kind of a map it is. There's just this one big path, and then sometimes there's these little branching paths. So really, the only use that you would have is if you go into a branching path and then suddenly you phase into the main path. I mean, that's okay, but I just don't really see it being all that useful. What do you want for Christmas? I don't want anything. In fact, my father just asked me the other day. My birthday is coming up later this week, and he asked me, what do you want for your birthday? What do you want for Christmas? And I told him I don't want anything. Like, I don't know, I'm kind of past the point where I need any kind of gifts or whatever. You know, if I need something, then I kind of just go and get it myself. So there's never, like, I don't need anybody to kind of, like, get me stuff, because if I wanted it, I would have already gotten it. What do you think about the latest events? Not a lot of content. Yeah, this is kind of a problematic thing with these events. I've talked about this before. A lot of the hype and the excitement around these events is kind of gone. So it started with the Summer Games. The Halloween Terror was also problematic. I expect the Winter Wonderland to also be the same way. They're not adding any new game modes. If you've already played this stuff in previous years, then you're going to log in. There's going to be some new skins, like 5 or 6 legendaries, something like that. And that's pretty much it. It's just, there's no excitement there anymore. And I think Blizzard, I understand what they're doing. They're working on some other stuff. You know, they had to create some other big maps and the heroes, and they also created the endorsement and the looking for group system, and they're working on something else that's really huge. They haven't told us what it is, though. So they're working on a lot of stuff, but I think they need to make at least some changes to these seasonal events. Add a little bit of something in order to kind of generate the excitement. Otherwise, it's just like, yay, May Snowball fight again. Like, I don't think anyone's gonna get excited for that. So it's definitely a problem, and they're definitely going to need to look into it. Otherwise, it's just gonna get worse and worse as it goes on. Who's most likely to get a legendary skin this year's winter event? I made a video just the other day going over all of my predictions. I showed off all the Excel spreadsheets and all my methodology and stuff. I also went over all of the confirmed details that we have for the winter event and some of the leaks that we've gotten. So if you want to know all of that stuff, go and check out that video. But I can tell you right now, one of the characters that I think is definitely going to get a legendary is Junkrat. How can you get rid of Goats comp? This is kind of a difficult one. When we're talking about Goats, we're talking about having 3 or more tanks. Goats is triple tank, triple support. But I think the bigger issue is just multi-tank, having 3 tanks or even quad tanks. So the issue is that the tanks do just as much damage as a lot of the DPS, particularly Zarya and D.Va. So as long as you have these 400 and 500 health characters that are pumping out a crazy amount of damage, it's never going to go away. So you either have to reduce the damage on some of the characters in the tank category, or Blizzard needs to introduce more anti-healing mechanics or more shield break type stuff that can kind of counter it. But until then, the triple and the quad tank are going to be here for probably a while. Who do you think is the best character in the game? Good follow-up. D.Va is the best character in the game right now, I would say. She may not have the highest pick rate, but she has very good damage. She has high sustainability, high mobility. Basically, everything in the game that is good, she has it. So, I'm not saying she's overpowered. She's just a very good character and is useful in almost every single comp. Should there be a decline backfill option when queuing up for a game? Yes. I would actually take it one step further and make it so that players can completely opt out of backfill altogether. But as a result, you would end up having less players into those backfill matches, so Blizzard would have to increase the reward for those backfills to kind of incentivize people leaving it on. But for those that definitely don't want any part of it and they only want to play full games, yeah, let them opt out of it. You did a video about where you throw Ana's nades as the match started to hit the enemy team. Would you consider doing one for Ashe's Dynamite? Yes, I considered it, and I checked, but the problem is, it doesn't really work for Ashe. The reason why it works for Ana is because when you scope in, you have that really nice HUD where you can use the little symbols and stuff and match it against objects on the walls and the upper parts of the map and all that sort of stuff. You can line up those shots. But with Ashe, you don't have any of that. In fact, it's the exact opposite, because depending on what character skin you're using, it will change what the weapon scope-in thing looks like, and that makes it extremely difficult in trying to find things that you can match up against, because what works for one skin might not work for the other. On top of that, if you're just trying to use the crosshair, then what ends up happening is you have to kind of just look into the sky, and it just doesn't work. Because the sky actually moves, there's clouds and stuff that are moving on that top level of the map and stuff, then you just can't line up anything. So it simply doesn't work. The thing with Ashe, though, is because there is a delay and because it kind of moves slowly through the air, there's really not any map where you can't just simply throw it at the door and let it, you know, do its thing when the door is open. So you kind of don't need it. But I tried, it just doesn't really work. That's going to be all of the questions for today. Thank you to everyone who submitted one. If you didn't get picked, then make sure you try again next time. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see more, subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss anything. Also, come hang out in my Discord server and my Twitch live stream. Special thanks to my Patreon supporters. If you'd like to see what kind of cool VIP rewards you can get, check the links down below. And remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault.